Hello, let's read If I Were a Park Ranger. And take a second to click on that subscribe button down there, and now let's get started. If I were a park ranger. Imagine serving as a park ranger for our U.S. national parks. If I were a national park ranger after going to college to study wildlife biology, conservation, or education, I'd work for the National Park Service. I'd wear a special uniform, a hat, and a badge. If I were a national park ranger, I'd be part of what historian Wallace Stegner called America's best idea. I'd proudly continue the legacy begun by people who had a vision of preserving our country's most beautiful, historic, and unique areas. Okay, there's Stephen Mather and Horace Albright, the founding directors of the National Park Service. Captain Charles Young, the first African-American superintendent of a national park. John D. Rockefeller Jr., with his family's millions, he funded the creation and expansion of new parks. Gerald Baker, as superintendent, he brought Native American heritage and perspectives to the parks. Theodore Roosevelt, as 26th president, he created programs to protect land, wildlife, and national treasures. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, writer and conservationist who helped save the Everglades. John Muir, his writings led to the establishment of Yosemite National Park in 1890. And Ansel Adams, his photographs captured the beauty of the national parks for the world to see. Some people hang pictures of pretty scenery in their office walls, but if I were a national park ranger, I would spend my workday in a place that was beautiful all on its own. If I were a national park ranger, I might work in the mountains. Olympic National Park, Washington. In a cave, Mammoth Cave National Park, Kentucky. Near a volcano, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, Hawaii. In the desert, Saguaro National Park, Arizona. Or at the seashore, Canaveral National Seashore, Florida. If I were a national park ranger, I would protect the land, the plants, the buildings, and the wild animals of my park. Padre Island National Seashore, Texas. I'd protect animals in many ways. I'd make sure people didn't get too close to the animals or disturb their homes. I'd make sure people didn't feed them or leave garbage that might make the animals sick. Yellowstone National Park, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. Protected spaces such as national parks and national seashores serve as living outdoor research laboratories. If I were a national park ranger, I might work with scientists to study the area's animals, plants, water, or soil. Or I could help with the discovery of fossils or artifacts in my park. This is Denali National Park and Preserve, Alaska. I'd help campers, hikers, sightseers, and other visitors to learn about and enjoy my park. Did you know that hundreds of millions of people visit National Park Service sites each year? I might greet guests at the visitor center or lead a ranger talk. I'd meet people from all over the country and the world who traveled to see the treasures of the park. Yosemite National Park, California. I'd be a great storyteller. I'd learn about the natural history, the human history, and the legends of my park so I could share those tales. Petroglyphs National Monument, New Mexico. I'd tell a few spooky campfire stories too. I'd know lots about the park's landmarks, plants, and wildlife. I'd even recognize the calls, tracks, and scat of most animals in my park, so I could answer any question, almost. I might take people on a tour, on foot, in a tram, or in a kayak. DeSoto National Memorial, Florida. Or maybe I'd lead a tour on snowshoes, or by flashlight, or even by candlelight. Lots of different knowledge and interests could come in handy. Glacier National Park, Montana. Lincoln Boyhood National Memorial, Indiana. I might dress up in old-fashioned clothes and portray someone from another time. If I were a national park ranger, I'd always be on the lookout for fires or threatening weather. If I spotted trouble, I'd use my two-way radio to report it to the emergency dispatcher. Then the other rangers and I would use our training and experience to keep everyone and everything as safe as possible. Acadia National Park, Maine. But sometimes things still go wrong. Then I might be part of a search and rescue team that saves someone who is lost or in danger. Death Valley National Park, California and Nevada. If I were a park ranger, I'd probably spend time outside, maybe lots of time outside in all kinds of different weather. But park rangers work inside too. Some use computers to design exhibits, make maps, write articles, and keep track of endangered animal populations. Others update park websites with information and alerts about closed roads or other issues. Great Smoky Mountains. This is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, North Carolina, Tennessee. If I were a national park ranger, I might leave my park to visit classrooms. I'd talk with students about the wonders of my workplace, because our national parks belong to them too. Yellowstone. If I were a national park ranger, my park would be cleaner and safer because of me. The animals living there would be stronger and healthier too. Channel Islands National Park, California. And maybe, because of all I did, some visitors to my park would experience something astonishing, a moment that could happen nowhere else in the world, a moment they'd remember forever. Then, like me, they'd want to take care of these very special places too. Grand Canyon National Park, Arizona. So yeah, I think someday I just might be a national park ranger. Mount Rushmore National Memorial, South Dakota. And there's an author's note. If you want to pause and read that, you can. It talks about, well, let me read the beginning. I visited my first national park, the Great Smoky Mountains, when I was a baby. Later, my family made several car trips from Michigan to this beautiful place. We hiked to waterfalls, explored the mist-crowned mountains, picnicked by a rocky stream, and even spotted a bear. And we met park rangers. Imagine working in such a beautiful and special place, I thought. When I grew up, I visited the Grand Canyon, the Grand Tetons, Yellowstone, Yosemite, Carlsbad Caverns, the Statue of Liberty, and many other national park sites. Every park experience has been memorable and enhanced by the park rangers who provide security, information, interpretations, and even entertainment. This book is in part a tribute to them. So, and then there's a section called Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math in the Parks. Art in the Parks. Did you know? So what does it take to be a park ranger? Talks about how you have to be a U.S. citizen. And if you have a college degree in history, wildlife management, ecology, parks management, or another related field, that's helpful. And then it gives more information about what it takes to be a park ranger. So read through that if you're interested. And that Imagine working every day to protect America's most amazing places. That was called If I Were a Park Ranger. I have been to many, 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 many national parks, and they are just wonderful and beautiful. And if you've never been, you should go. Hope you enjoyed that. Go ahead and subscribe. Come back often.